Let me talk for a bit about this dismissal by a judge, by the way, a Democratic appointee judge, of the Comey and Letitia James indictments. This is an obvious setback for the Trump administration and for the DOJ. It caused Comey to make a kind of pompous video. I've been exonerated, although, you know what, I fear they might try to do it again. And it does look like this dismissal is going to be appealed. Now, when you look at the decision by the judge, she is not saying that there is no merit to it. She is not saying that Comey is innocent. She is not saying that he didn't lie to Congress as alleged in the indictment. In fact, the prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan, has produced documentary evidence that we haven't seen before, pretty well showing that Comey was very much in on it, very much part of the plot to frame Trump, quite knowledgeable about facts to the contrary when he testified to Congress. But according to the judge, all of this needs to be dismissed because Halligan, who was appointed by the DOJ to fill a vacant slot, is not properly appointed. In other words, the issue here is not the merits of the case. It's not even the claim that Comey didn't do any of it. It is that the process of naming the prosecutor, it was invalid. And this is the relevant section in the law. If an appointment expires under subsection C2, the district court for such district may appoint a U.S. attorney to serve until the vacancy is filled. So the law seems to say that the district court may do this, but may doesn't mean must. The judge seems to be saying that only the district court could make an interim appointment, and an interim appointment cannot be made by the DOJ. So this is a case where reading the language of the law, it is a little cloudy, and but the court is reading it to say that this is a bogus appointment. Now, let's say that Lindsay Halligan's appointment is somehow invalid and there should have been a different procedure followed, or maybe even that she shouldn't have been appointed at all and somebody else should have. My point is, so what? And I say so what because a case is brought by a prosecutor operating under the authority of the DOJ, operating under the authority of the federal branch of the Department of Justice, which is part of the Trump administration. And this particular prosecution was cleared by the DOJ and approved at the highest levels by the DOJ. In other words, approved by people like Pam Bondi. They signed off on it. And in that sense, the prosecutor, Halligan, is their agent. So whether or not the prosecutor was properly appointed would seem to have no bearing on whether or not the case is properly brought and whether or not the case has any merit. So I think that there is a good possibility. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just thinking out loud. I'm quite capable of doing basic legal reasoning in accordance with statutes and in accordance with law. The appellate court could easily conclude that regardless of whether or not the Halligan appointment is valid, the indictment itself is valid, and therefore this dismissal is unwarranted.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.